It's daily delivery debate time with Velle, Neal III. I am Michael Rand. 3 subjects every week. The first one, Velle, this week is going to be about the Twins. But before we get to that, I have to get to a letter which kind of gets into the struggles of the Twins and maybe, just maybe, gets to the heart of who won last week's debate. I said, I enjoy very much your podcast and especially your conversations with Patrick Royce and Velle Neal about the Twins. In fact, a week or so ago, you and Velle talked about who was to blame for the Twins' downfall. Velle seemed to blame the front office, and I would agree with that. I know you and Velle mostly talked about the trades they could have made at the deadline as well as the signings they could have done in the offseason. I think that some of the Twins' problems stem from what the front office did with some of the trades they made, but the Twins got players that were injured and couldn't contribute to the team, like the Jorge Polanco deal and other things like that. He mentions Tyler Malley, all the other guys that you brought up. This was from Clark. So, Velle, I think maybe you won last week's debate. How's that feel?
I mean, it feels okay. I mean, you could probably find someone else who wrote another letter who thought that you won last week's debate. It depends. Our words are going to touch people differently and strike different chords. But I appreciated that person was able to at least express thoughts on a letter and send it to you.
Almost everybody said the ownership is to blame, kind of going against what both of us said. I was putting it on the players, and I still stick by that, although there's definitely blame to go around all across the board.
I
You put it
agree.
mostly on the front office. All that said, this kind of dovetails into debate topic number 1 this week, which is this is a team that's in free fall right now. The playoff odds are suddenly on the other side. They're looking up at teams in the standings right now. What's right in front of him is the most important thing. But I want to know, should we be concerned by this slide at the end and some of the things we've seen, that this isn't just a month-long stretch of bad baseball, that this could be the start of some down years or some lean years with the organization?
Well, here's the thing. Royce Lewis, Byron Buxton, and Carlos Correa, the core of that offense. They are the core guys that need to drive this ship here or drive the bus. And they have not been on the field together that much this year. And Royce Lewis has had a couple lost seasons because of knee issues. Buxton's had more than a few lost seasons because of injuries. And now Correa's got the injury bug. If those 3 guys can't stay on the field together going forward here, then it's gonna look bad. It's not going to. The Twins will not be able to play at their best because those 3 guys are injured, and their health, their long term health is very important going forward. So that's where I would be concerned at. The other part is they still have a lot of developing hitters, Matt Wallner and Edouard Julian and Jose Miranda. You're probably going to see Emmanuel Rodriguez at some point next year. You may actually see Walker Jenkins make a debut next year because he was at Double-A at the end of the minor league season this year. And once you get to Double-A, you're usually a year out. You got a bunch of developing hitters, but they need guidance. They need the veteran guys here, and they got to stay healthy. They've got to stay on keel here. It looks like we've got young pitchers coming through the pipeline. We've seen Festa, we've seen Zebby, we see Simeon Woods Richardson. There's 2 other guys now that are probably going to debut next year at some point too. Marco Rea at one point, and Andrew Morris, who I didn't know much about until like midseason, but apparently this guy is really good, and the Twins were reluctant to trade him at the deadline for help. So they are blessed with one of the top, at least top 15, if not top 10 farm systems in baseball. The talent's going to keep coming through for sure. But the 3 big dogs here, this 3-headed monster of Buxton, Correa, and Lewis, have to be on the field leading the way.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with them too. We're not going to disagree much on this subject because the health of Correa and Buxton, I mean, they're taking up close to $50 million of the payroll. They are supposed to be the guys who are carrying the offense to a certain degree, other guys too, but that's a big chunk of your payroll, especially in this world of RSN uncertainty. You don't know how much money you're going to get from that. They're being run a little bit more thriftily, shall we say, than they were maybe a couple of years ago when that wasn't quite as much of an uncertainty, but they've never been a big spending team anyway. The point you make about the minor league system, though, is the one where I would say, yeah, that's where there still is hope. I think MLB had them at number 2 in the August prospect rankings, they had like 5 or 6 guys who were up there. At that point, Festa and Zebby Matthews were still prospects. We got Walker Jenkins, number 4, Brooks Lee, 16, Rodriguez, 22, and Zebby and Festa before you get out of the top 100. So they've definitely got some guys there. We've seen some good things in limited sample sizes from Festa, and even Zebby's start against the Red Sox in that second game of a doubleheader was promising until it all fell apart. So they do have some stuff in the pipeline, but you're right. If you've got $50 million in investments for the next several years in Correa and Buxton, and you're not getting more than you got this year health-wise out of them, that's going to be a problem long term. Absolutely,
it is. And all teams go through injuries, and the good ones are able to overcome them. But these are key players, man, and they've got to take the post and be there for their teammates. Leadership standpoint, playing standpoint, confidence standpoint. But I don't know if anyone's confident over there right now. Correa's still hurt. He's like easing his way around the bases. I noticed that last night. I was at the game for a little bit. So this is just a mess. It's a big mess, but I don't think it's going to lead to a bigger mess down the road.